Anxiety at core is about what? Talk to me. It's about fear because your brain's trying to survive. So anxiety at its core is about survival. And so what I've done in this study is I'm starting in two major halves, you might say. One way is talk about what anxiety is from a biological, physiological perspective. The other is to talk about it from a mental, psychological perspective. What they have in common is it's about survival. Okay, anxiety at its core is about survival. It is about survival. I want you to understand that because that's what it is. We talked, now very briefly, look on page 1 of your handout. Some of you coming a little bit later, if you go to your Hill Church app and click Sermon Notes on your Hill Church app, it will take you to the digital form of this handout. The brain is designed for survival. Think of your brain and your 5 senses like 5 different danger radars. If you're blind, you have 4, and so forth. And those danger radars are on all the time, except when you're, say, asleep, the sight's not working, but your hearing is still on. Every second you're alive, your brain has set, God has designed it such that we have alarm systems. The alarm systems go off if the brain perceives of danger, perceives of threat. And that's what's going on. Anxiety itself is not danger, it's the threat of danger. Anxiety does not harm us at all. It's just a ding, 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 ding. Are we in danger? Are we going to die? Are we going to die? That's all it is in a nutshell. Pay attention. Look here, look here, look here. Pay attention. Healthy people, at the very bottom of the front page, healthy people always pay attention to anxious feelings. They always pay attention. But then healthy people use various techniques to decide whether to do something about it. Oh, thank you, hearing, for that alarm system when the ambulance went by. My heart started racing, but we're not in danger. In fact, let's say a prayer for those people as they go by. And no, we're not in danger. That's what healthy people do. What healthy people do not do, they do not try to stay calm all the time. They do not try to stay calm all the time. They do not try to sound happy and peaceful all the time because you can't. That's unwise and silly. The scared child, we'll talk about that later, the scared child wants to stay happy all the time because it's a scary feelings. But healthy people don't do that. They go, no, anxiety is just my brain's way of telling me there might be danger. Thank you so much for helping me. But they can't kill me. So what happens then is when these feelings, these chemical reactions in our bodies fire off, the endorphins, our adrenaline, epinephrine, when they are firing in our bodies, they, like all chemicals, flow through the bloodstream and eventually dissipate, eventually absorb in enough, they run their course and they're done. Just like any chemical reaction, they run their course. They run their course. They're supposed to. They're supposed to. Let them. Let them. Let it. Oh, it's in me. Yep. I feel adrenaline. Yep. It's going to wash over me. It's going to wash out, as it were. Whatever analogy, image you want to use, it flows through me. Let it. But they can't kill you. They cannot kill you. No physician ever has put on the death certificate cause of death nervousness, anxiety. Cannot kill you. It's just ding, 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 ding. I hear the alarm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It reminds me years ago, Elaine and I were in the airport, obviously traveling somewhere, and as we got closer to our gate, we heard this viscerally loud, obnoxious siren going off. And of course, our hearts start racing. We start looking around, we're pulling our luggage, looking around, like, what? Like, what is it? What is it? And the closer we got to our gate, the most bizarre picture was everybody, full of people doing nothing. And brothers going like, what? Do you hear? What's wrong with them? They're all just on their phones, chilling. Like, how do y'all not hear this alarm system? Of course, we were new to it, so our brain was signaling alarm and danger. The odds are very high. We weren't the only persons, and aliens didn't make us hear radar. The odds are they had been going off for a while. They realized there's no danger. The point is, that was a perfect example of they're hearing the same thing we're hearing, and they've decided they're not in danger. Well, our anxiety is skyrocketing because there must be some massive. It was the loudest thing. I've never heard an airport like that. But my brain and her brain signals, what is it, what is it, what is it, what is it, what is it? Just like my nervous dog and cats. And we go, oh, well, once we also went, oh, there's no fire, no one's running around, there's no announcements. It must be some false alarm or something. Don't push open a door. Okay, we went normal too. And eventually your brain starts tuning it out. Like you tune out how many times do you notice a train goes by anymore if you live in Kiwani? right? You go, oh, there's a train? Yeah, there's a train. It goes by like 4 times a day. I don't even, when I first met Casey Mitchell, the first time when I first moved here, I said something about the train. She goes, huh? Oh, I don't even notice it anymore. I remember that. I thought that's true. When you live somewhere so long, you don't notice it because the body says, your brain says that's not in danger. Healthy people know that, acknowledge it, and don't fight it, and they don't say it's going to kill me. Then what happens is that's a physiological response. Okay, I'm going to shift very quickly to review to the mind. This is where we ended last week. I'm convinced that that our soul is not the brain. Like a hand uses a glove, I do not think the mind and body are identical. I think the brain does its thing, helps us breathe, survive. The mind is rationality. That's our soul. That's a faculty of the soul. And since they're related, they influence one another, but they're not the same. Then that physiological response tells our mind something. And then our mind picks up that chemical reaction as feelings of fear, dread, uneasiness, and so forth. And then what happens is we start thinking about the danger. It becomes rational. I can hear a siren, and right away my heart starts racing. It's instantaneous because my brain sends out, it's so super fast. I didn't think there's danger. I didn't even think there was a siren. It wasn't rational. Maybe I'm preaching or teaching. I don't think about the siren. That must be a fire alarm. It happens so fast because I'm not thinking, my mind is not focused on it. Well, then all of a sudden I realize what's going on. Then I'm going to think about, oh, now there must be an XYZ. Okay, that's what happens to all of us all the time. So one is a brain response, like breathe, instantaneous. Then the mind picks up what's going on. And the distinction there is the subconscious versus the conscious. When the conscious kicks in, then what happens is we like to focus on that feeling of anxiety in 2 major ways I talked about last time. Past fear, which is rumination, when we chew what happened in the past over and over and over and over and over. We do that because we think we're keeping ourselves safe. It made us so afraid. We're reliving it. I didn't say this last week, and I meant to. I really meant to say this. I was disappointed when I left. I do this often when I teach. I should have said that. When we ruminate, when we relive what happened, how we were harmed or how we might have been harmed, in psychological terms, what it calls, we are literally actually re-traumatizing ourselves. Since, remember I said last week, the brain doesn't know the difference between rational and irrational fears. It just doesn't know the difference. That's why you can get just as excited in a roller coaster as watching a movie or reading a book that's exciting. Your heart might be right. It's a page turner. Well, you're not, there's no one chasing you, but in the book you think. So the adrenaline's pumping. So when you relive that past trauma that happened to you, you're re-traumatizing yourself over and over and over again. And that's very sad. It's very, very sad when any of us counselors, when you counsel a person who has been hurt in their past, maybe they were raped or molested or burglarized or hit by a car, I mean, whatever that trauma might have been, terrible childhood, terrible relationships, divorce, all kinds of stuff. I just think about it, I think my mind's racing. They're going through it over and over. It's like being punched all over again and all over again and all over again. So I don't know why I can't stop. There's a lot of reasons why, but that point is that's a very sad thing. Rumination is very unhealthy, but it has to do at core with your brain thinking, I've got to redo this because I'm so scared. At core, it's your belief that if I do relive this over and over, it's helping me be safe so it doesn't happen again. And that's false. But we're actually not exactly sure why people always ruminate, but we'll talk about that some other time maybe. The other is future, which is worry. Worry is like traumatizing yourself, and it hasn't even happened yet. So both instances of you and I putting ourselves through situations that didn't happen, but you make yourself feel like it did and wonder why we don't feel peace all the time. Because we're living in past trauma or pretending we might go through trauma. So our brain's sending all these signals, kind of like reading a book. We're not going through anything. And I mean not going through anything. That event that happened to you in the past is not happening right now. You're in a room, sitting in a comfortable chair. You're not going through that past event. But if you're thinking about it, your heart's racing and you're starting to shallow breathing right now, it's not going through it. But you think you are, but you're not going through it. You start worrying, what if prices keep going up? What if, I lose my job? But you're not going through that. You're just imagining you're going through it, which is causing trauma to yourself. And that's not healthy. That's about anxiety. So something we can talk about later as well. We will talk about, not kind of, we will, and that is on relief. What do we do about those things? But right now I'm just talking about that's anxiety. Almost all anxiety we feel is not based on the current moment. And I said last week, this is where I ended up last week, is to say when we're traumatized, which is when we have intense anxiety and we're in a state of helplessness, those two things go together. These uncomfortable feelings of anxiety stir us up, and we become afraid of a feeling. We become afraid of anxiety. We become afraid of anxiety. And that's where anxiety disorders typically come from. We've developed a fear of feeling uncomfortable. And to test that, like I said, is you can do the what if game, which I find very useful. Well, let's imagine what if that horrible thing you thought was going to happen. Then what? By the time you ask ourselves these questions, you go, well, I guess I could handle it. Then what are you afraid of? And the answer is, well, I was scared it'd feel bad, it'd feel negative, it'd feel scary. But it can't kill you. Let me say one quick word about that, we'll move on. Is they can't kill you. They can't kill you, and so they don't need to be scared of them. What's supposed to happen, this will sound pretty depressing, I'm sorry, but it's just true. What's supposed to happen, friends, is that we're supposed to have parents who are perfect. We'll talk about that more in a little bit too. We're supposed to have parents who teach us how to deal with reality just right, like Jesus, and have the character of Jesus, and we learn how to process emotions perfectly, and we learn how to relate to other people perfectly, relate to God perfectly. And of course, raise your hand if you had a perfect parent. Yeah, you're in good company. So what happens is most people, in my experience, and maybe and Sarah might have a different opinion too, but in my experience, including my own, and we'll talk a lot about parenting later. We will. It's on the handout. But most people simply they didn't have perfect parents, and they were at my point right now is we were supposed to have been taught how to deal with negative feelings, and most of us were not. So most of us learned from our parents, explicitly or implicitly, that we're supposed to be scared of negative feelings. So go to see Grandma and Grandpa. Remember, don't talk about his toupee. Don't talk about it. Don't make him mad. Don't bring up Trump. Don't do it. Don't talk about, I know he smells. Don't say a word. It's a disorder. Don't. And so the kids go, okay. And we are taught that it's our responsibility to help, quote, make sure they don't feel sad, angry, or whatever. So from childhood, we're taught how to have bad boundaries. And we think we're responsible. Everybody is his business. And we're also taught, I'll go for a long time like that, we're also taught not to process our own feelings. And so what happens is we try to avoid them at all cost. And that's what happens. What I'm saying right now is what sounds so counterintuitive is we shouldn't do that. We should not avoid anxiety. It won't kill you, and healthy people know that you need anxiety to survive. If you numb it all the time, you're really sabotaging yourself. Well, David, it's so uncomfortable, yeah, it is. And so when we get to the relief part, we'll talk about how to process that. Healthy people say, yeah, anxiety is a normal part of life. Yep. It's just normal. But I don't like it. Okay, well, it's not fun, right? But you can start to like and appreciate it, that it's trying to keep you safe. You don't want your radars to turn off. You were supposed to have learned differently. Well, now what do I do? I'm screwed forever. No, you're not. Let's just learn the skill sets now. But it's so hard. Yeah, it'll be difficult, but you'll learn it if you want to. Or don't. Don't spend the rest of your life scared to death of feeling negative. Be afraid of fear the rest of your life. I mean, you can. Re-traumatize yourself of that past event that happened last year or last month or 30 years ago. If you want to keep doing that the rest of your life, and this is not for religious guilt, and I say this on purpose, but I don't think God designed us to do that. I think when Jesus says, don't worry, he was onto something. Stop focusing on what might happen. I'm with you now. Do you think I'll be with you then too? I think so. So we develop beliefs. Once our brain fires off the signal and it gets to our mind and our mind starts picking up these signals, we develop beliefs on that. Now, these beliefs, here I'm focusing on false beliefs, that reinforce the idea that we need to avoid anxiety. And most beliefs, I'll repeat myself on purpose, this is, I think, worth repeating. Most beliefs that you and I have right now are what we call in our child ego state. and the child is simply unwise and melodramatic. He and she doesn't know what they're talking about, their children. And so we, as the adult in us, has to go and get those beliefs and go, is this true or false? Here's some examples of false beliefs that people very often believe. Now pause for a second, please understand me, because this is difficult in counseling oftentimes to get people to get this. Because I'm going to read these beliefs, and you might have already as well. But you can go, I never think that. I didn't ask you if you think it. I didn't ask if you think it. Because thinking and believing is different. You can know something. I'm all the time. All of the time. Do you know that God loves you? Yeah, I know that. I know that. I know that. I know that. Do you know that your value is found in Him alone? Of course. Yep. Then why are you cutting yourself? Why do you think you're depressed and feel worthless? If you know God, well, I know it. I know it. I know it. And I believe that you know it, but you don't believe it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. And because, we'll say this later, and the child ego state believes. The adult ego state knows. So what happens is oftentimes, since we don't think that way in categories, we don't often think about what we think about. It's hard for us sometimes to articulate and go, wait a second, I think I really do believe that. Down deep, you might say. But some of you right now in this room are so driven by shame, you will not have the capacity to acknowledge it. So you might be acknowledged a little bit on the inside because I'm not asking you to speak aloud. But even on the inside, you'll go, no, I would never, never. But maybe you are. In fact, you just feel so ashamed that you ever believe it or have ever believed it. But this is not the time to feel shame. This isn't for condemnation. This is time to figure out what we believe, and is it true or is it false? If it's true, keep on believing it. High five. But if it's false, it's worth challenging these false beliefs. For like, if I worry, I'll be safe. Now, most worriers don't say it that way, but it is what they believe. That's why they do it. I can't let go of that. I got to worry. I just, you know me. But deep down, part of them believes worrying keeps me safer. Of course they believe that. That's what anxiety tells you. It's just false. That's false. Worrying does not make you safe. It's nonsense. That's false. Right now, some of you believe that. Right now, when you hear me say the word false, you don't believe me. You go, nope, he's crazy. Nope. I know it makes me safe. I know. I believe. I know. My mom was a worrier. It kept her safe for years. I mean, that's what happens when you believe something for so long. It's very difficult to disabuse you of false beliefs. But you can do it if you want to. But that is I'm telling you, whatever it's worth. I'm serious, whatever it's worth. You can take my word for it, whatever. If I were, I'll be safe is ridiculous. It's false nonsense. It is ridiculous, false nonsense. If any part of you believes it, you're mistaken. It's just false. That's God. That's not from the Lord Jesus. If I expect the worst, then I won't have to deal with the feelings of disappointment. If I just expect to be disappointed, I won't be disappointed. That's so dumb. It's so false. It's so false. I'm getting ready. He's going to die. He's going to die. I'm going to get ready. He's going any second now. Mom, why do that? Because it just gets me ready. Talk to any therapist knows anything about anything and say, high five. Did that work? Did your precipitating this awful death help you not grieve? Yes or no? No one will say, absolutely. I mean, I was like, I'm happy about it. It was good, right? That anticipating the worst case scenario all the time? Absolutely. I feel better all the time. I'm joyful, freer, lighter. No one does. It's silly nonsense. It doesn't work that way. That's the people who are pessimistic. It's a way to avoid the feelings of disappointment, which is a feeling like anxiety. If I don't trust anyone, then I won't have to be disappointed when they fail me. I won't get close to them. They're going to betray me. We'll talk about this later too, but you typically know beliefs are false by, we call them generalized, or there's different ways to describe them, catastrophized, but generalized is another one. In general, that is, I don't trust anybody. No one can be trusted. This happens all the time when people go through trauma. It just does. It's so sad, but it's real. It's so real. I've known many females who were molested when they were kids, and I've known some guys too. And because that guy, my uncle, my so-and-so hurt me, guys will always hurt me. One time I dated that guy and he raped me. Guys will always, fine, forget that, I'm going with girls. Because guys are danger. That when I was a kid, Mexicans broke into our house. I'll never trust Mexicans. Whatever that trauma is, and they generalize it, and that's what makes it false. That's just false. It's false. I told someone my deep, dark secret, and he told everybody. I'll never tell anybody my secrets again because they can't be trusted. That's false. That's a way to try to protect yourself because that feeling of sadness and hurt and betrayal that you felt, I'm going to do whatever it takes not to feel that again. And so I'm not going to trust anybody. And so you stay in your bubble. That's sad. God didn't design us to live that way. He didn't. And that's a wounded issue. It's not a sin issue. That's a woundedness issue. It's a false belief, though. If I can just get some alcohol, I can handle this. If I can just make it. If I can just get some wine. If I can just stop on the way home. Little footnote, because I like footnotes. Alcoholism amongst women has skyrocketed, but it's socially acceptable. I show that to my kids. I say, hey kids, I give them daddy teachable moments. I talk about this, and I say the studies demonstrate that it's on the profound epidemic of alcoholism amongst females, but it's socially acceptable. And so what they do then, instead of them getting the differences, what makes it socially acceptable is because there's more social acceptance in the West, particularly in America, to drink wine than it is hard liquor. And since men tend to drink beer and liquor, which tends to have more of a faux pas, you got to keep that liquor in a brown bag, but not wine. So in American culture, because you can sip on it or get drunk on it, you celebrate drinking wine. And so that's why, and I showed this recently, we were in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and my son said, Dad, now I see it, because every single female t-shirt, every single purse, every single bag, it's wine time, drunken wine. I don't use the word drunk. Can't get to wine. It's wine o'clock. It's wine. It's everywhere. It's an absolute pandemic. Women are an enormous amount of alcoholics, but it's just a couple to take the edge off. It's not a couple. It's not taking the edge off. It's because they're anxious. They might just be addicted to it, but usually it starts with anxiety. But that's both guys too, guys and girls. I'm so stressed. I've counseled many guys, particularly, who got really drunk because of the anxiety at work. And that's, again, they're just trying to, a false belief. If I can just do this, if I can get some ice cream, if I can eat the whole gallon, if I can get chocolate, if I scream and slam the doors, she'll back down. If I can just, why? Because when she's not listening to me, I feel scared. So I've got to buck up to get her to back down. And now I feel the alpha again. I feel safe. Okay, I feel better because she's not a threat to me. Why was she a threat? Did she stab you? No. What did she do? She'd roll her eyes at me. Does that scare you? Why does that scare you? Well, because when I was a kid, my mom used to roll her eyes, and I was right before she slapped my dad. Oh. Well, let's talk about that. Let's try to change that belief a little bit. If I cuss them out first, they have to leave me alone. And I know people like that. They're on the attack right away. If I just, I've met people, they're in their child ego state. I mean, I work with people. There's all kinds of people that as soon as you start anything at all, if you say, hey, have you seen that chair? I didn't do it. What in the, good, do what? What? If I'm on the prowl, if I'm on the offensive, I can't be hurt. If I avoid the party, I don't have to possibly face embarrassment. A lot of people suffer from social anxiety. That's a big one. So I just want to get away from everybody. I've met people I know for a fact are extroverts. They say they're introverts, but I know you're an extrovert. What it is, you have social anxiety. You really actually like being around people, but you're scared that you might be embarrassed or commit a faux pas, or you might flush face, or you might sweat, or you might embarrass yourself, and that becomes a social anxiety. But that's a wound. That's something you can heal from. You don't have to be an extrovert. I'm just saying that I met people who are convinced of that. Like, I don't think nothing about you is introverted. You can be an introvert, but in this, it's a fear issue. That's not it. A lot of introverts suffer from that terrible fear too. I can't be wrong or ignorant because they might hurt me or take advantage of me. I've got to be a know-it-all. I've got to be a know-it-all. I've got to, no, that's not how it works. And or I need to keep a grudge because if I forgive them, they're going to hurt me again. That's a very, very common one. I've got to hold this against you. Every time I see him or her, I've got to go, ugh, every single time. Or why? Because they're going to hurt me again. That's false. Your grudge doesn't make you safe. It makes you bitter. Makes you mad a lot. I mean, it makes us bitter and me, makes us tired. Grudges are tiring. It's almost like Jesus knew what he was talking about when we talked about forgiving people. He was on to something. Christians do live lighter lives, but just to remind you, some of y'all come in, just to remind you, everybody, good morning. Everybody, if you go to your Hill Church app and click Sermon Notes, it'll take you to a digital copy of this handout if you're watching online. Sermon Notes, Hill Church, or go to the website. You can go to the church's website if you don't have the app. Go to the top of Hill Church and find Sermon Notes, and then you can click the link to the digital copy of this handout. Okay, top of page 3. Beliefs chiefly come from experiences. They chiefly come from experiences, particularly in childhood, and they come from others. Like, for example, my mom taught me implicitly to be scared of swimming in water for years. And she taught me to be, she admitted that, whatever, but she'd be scared of, water just scares me. Swimming, I'm so scared of drowning. Well, I heard that so much, it taught me to be panicked of water. And growing up in Mississippi, that's not too bad because all we have is pine trees. But when you're around other people's swimming pools and you got down to the Biloxi, down to the coast, and then, of course, to grow up, I had to take swimming lessons in my undergraduate degree. At 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday was a swimming class. I mean, there's probably like hell, and then right below that is swimming at 8 a.m. on a Monday. For a person who's scared of water, amen, brother. Eventually, I got out of that class, and they changed the requirements. I didn't take that anymore. Oh, my goodness. But I had to get off that, and when I realized more and more, my mom taught me to be scared. No, I don't want to be scared. I can deal with this. So I'm not nearly as scared. Now my heart rate stinks, but she taught me that. But belief, that came from childhood as well. So beliefs come from experience. If I touch that, it's supposed to happen. I touch that, it burned myself. That experience, I believe that red things will hurt. Your beliefs can be false, they can be true, but that's where they come from. And then sometimes people taught us, don't ever trust women, son, I'm telling you. Okay, Daddy. All they can do is hurt you. The first 4 wives I've had have done nothing but hurt me. Okay, Daddy. In both cases, whether experienced or taught, our beliefs cause our brain to release the feel-bad chemicals that cause anxiety. Let that sink in, please, because the whole first part was about physiology. The brain sends out signals, alarms going off, fire alarms. But the mind can tell the brain to fire off too by beliefs that we have. So, for example, my wife's family, they were robbed when they were at church when she was a kid. She was, I think, like 6th grade or something. So they were gone to church, came home, and someone had broken into their house in Florida. So for years, they put an alarm system in and were very afraid, and they got afraid. They had some kind of OCD already, but they had to lock the doors, check the doors, forever. To this day, they still feel pretty panicked. But when I met Elaine and we started dating, of course, then we moved in after we got married, and I started realizing she's scared. Did you lock the door? Did you lock the door? And I'm like, yeah, I locked it. Well, then I realized what happened. So from her childhood, she was still very panicked. She had the belief that I'm unsafe at nighttime. And 2, I'm unsafe if the doors aren't locked really well. Now, of course, in Florida, they still had locks. They just broke in the glass or whatever. But we had to get an alarm system. And to this day, we still have an alarm system. Now, she's not nearly as panicked, but she'll tell you this, but it caused that. So the belief that. So now, I'm saying this because here's a perfect example. If she's lying in bed, in a comfortable bed with 14 blankets and all that she does, and she's comfortable, we got an air conditioner, heater, whatever, so in a physiological state, is she in danger or is she safe? You can say the word. She's very, very safe. I'm right beside her. She's in a state of safety right there. Does that mean a hurricane? Sure. I mean, right then in that moment, is she safe or in danger? Right then in that moment, she's completely safe. But if I pushed her hard and said, tell me about the time when you got robbed or you came home and everything, the gold, the jewelry was gone and your stuff was gone, she's going to start feeling scared again. Sometimes if she goes by the door and it's not locked, the alarm on, particularly years ago, she started getting scared. Seeing a lock doesn't hurt me. The alarm is not, the lock is a lock. It's just sitting there. I'm not in danger by walking past a lock. But because she believes that I could get robbed, that lock represents the past trauma, so that belief tells the brain, fire off some more adrenaline, please, I'm in danger. So it works both ways. So we can hear things, sense, taste, our senses can trigger off anxiety, which are on every second all the time besides sight when we're asleep or unconscious, things like that. But then beliefs can trigger anxiety. And this is why examining our beliefs is absolutely crucial. False beliefs must, if you want to stop struggling with anxiety. If you don't do anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to stop it, false beliefs must be stopped. True beliefs must be repeated. And I won't talk about that much later when we get to relief. But it is so important. To reiterate on purpose, and I hope you don't mind a little bit of reiteration, I'm telling you, sister and brother in Christ, or if you're not just a fellow human, uh, right now in you, right now, are just a copious amount of beliefs, many of which are completely abject nonsense. They're false. They're false. A lot of people are racist because of past trauma. Black people, they're going to rob me, they're going to hurt me. Seeing a black person walk by doesn't mean I'm being robbed. Maybe it brings up a past trauma, or maybe their mom or dad said, they're just racist. They're just racist. Well, when I was from, this is how we talk. Who cares? I mean, it's just racism. Not much racism is a sin, but then our belief, I don't mean to believe that, but someone taught me to be scared of them, or men or women or this or that, or church. I met many people who were burned from church and someone hurt their feelings or something. Sometimes it was really painful. Sometimes it was the color of the carpet and stupid is right, petty. Sometimes it was real trauma. I've counseled people, praise Jesus, they'll say, David, you're the first pastor I've ever felt comfortable around. Well, why is that? Because I was molested by one. Or first of all, I'm devastated for you. That makes me angry for you. It makes me sad for you. And praise God, you feel safe around me because you are. But oh my goodness, that's real trauma. So just seeing me, it's seeing me and believing that I'm in a place of authority to church can re-trigger that. I have such sympathy for that. I do. But that's a false belief that all blank will hurt you. It's just false. It's false. I fight all kinds of false beliefs. I've gotten rid of a lot of them, and we'll talk about that, how to get rid of them. But a big part of it is journaling. But they are in you. And sometimes it takes a third-party perspective. I'm sure I keep mentioning Sarah because she's a trained licensed therapist. But sometimes it takes a person with the training to say, let's help you figure out those beliefs. I often use the analogy of an iceberg. So the top of the iceberg is that's the rational state. That's usually what we're thinking and so forth, and some beliefs, but most of our beliefs are beneath the water. And most people have never gone under the water and realize, what do I believe? That can be scary, and some of you feel anxious just thinking about or feeling about. So take a deep breath. So if you have let me pause there for 1 second because I want to finish this last section, and then I think we'll be good for today. But this last thing, any question or comments what I've said so far today? You've been, I think, good attentive listeners. Anything at all? Sure, good point. So that's a good point. It's a good question. Let me repeat this for online since we have a microphone. That's right. So you live alone, and so you do feel anxiety at nighttime thinking, I am alone, so I'm anxious because someone might hurt you, so cookies are going to make me feel safer, so I'll grab some cookies. That's right. So that's a good example of, it is a good example of irrational fear. Because when you are at home by yourself, are you safe or in danger? I'm afraid to be alone. I'm going there in just a second. Good. So you're very good. No, I think I'm tracking with you. So now I'm anxious. Very good. So take a deep breath. So when you're at home, thus far at home, and the doors are locked, are you in danger? Is there someone there, the bears or killers, or so in reality, you're safe, but you feel anxious, which means there's an alarm going off, which is saying, am I in danger? I probably will be in danger. Maybe I will be. What if I am in danger? What if? And that's just straight up worry. So in reality, look at the room. We call this grounding, right? The grounding is when you say, my feet are on the ground, taking a deep breath, the color of the paint of the wall is, wait a second, I've got a blanket, I'm watching TV or whatever, I'm safe. Now, what to say to ourselves, I will have real specific examples of things we can say to ourselves, but in reality, that is an irrational fear, because the rational part is, I am actually safe. So what am I anxious about? I'm anxious, and this is where you can role play yourself, which is, at minimum, it's what if? If I am alone, then what if I need help and I can't get it? And that's a belief. You can turn every single question into a belief. If the question of what would I do if turned to a belief, and that is, I'm in danger if I'm alone. Because I know people who, and I don't understand the same way, who love to be alone. They got wilderness and just dump out them in a rubber band and a knife. They'll live for a month. They're like, I can't wait. So when they think being alone, they think it's heaven. Like strong introverts, like, leave me alone. I don't care if I'm in danger or not. So my point is, the fact is still the same. The belief that being alone equals, they're both alone. It's the belief that's different. And that's my point. The belief can be rational or irrational. So if I'm alone, I might be in danger. is a particular idiosyncratic belief. It's not unique. It's an idiosyncratic belief that other people do not suffer from. They go, I can't wait to be alone. Leave me alone. But it is a belief, so that's very good. So you would say, yeah, but it is real that I'm alone, right? It's real that you should be anxious when you are in danger. That's irrational fear. Someone just got in my home. Yeah, I'm scared. You should be scared, right? Because I'm in danger. I might be in danger is not a rational fear. That's straight up worry. That's a false belief. It's based on a false belief. If I'm alone, then I'm going to be hurt. That's false. You don't know that. If I'm alone in a 10 people coming with Uzis, I might be hurt. Well, that's right. You might be hurt if that happens. Right, sure. Well, then what would I do? It's the what if game. Well, I would run. Okay, I'd hide. What if they shot me? Then you'd probably die. Well, okay, well, they go sleep in a prison or sleep. They can get killed there too. Go sleep in a bank cell. But once we're all in that sense, there's always the what if. All of us can be hurt and robbed at all time. But the fact that we oftentimes can focus and obsess about what might happen, that's straight up worry. That's based on fear and woundedness, which that also can be healed. It can be healed. But the key to go back to right now in the moment, am I in danger? Right now? Yeah, but what if? No, that's not what I asked you. I'm talking to myself, We will talk, that's a good question. This last bit is, if I can go, sorry, did you have a question, Ken, or you're helping? Repeat it. Okay, if I have time, go ahead. And if I don't have, maybe afterwards I can answer. Good. So he was taught the fear of trains when he was a kid. So now it took him years to get over it. Is there such thing as good anxiety versus kind of bad anxiety? And the answer, of course, is there is good anxiety when it's rational. When you really are in danger, there really is a threat, and the adrenaline's pumping, then the body's doing exactly what it's designed to do, to get you out or to fight. It's just, that's the point of it. It's really, really works when it's based on reality. When it's not based on reality, there's no reason to have that. The alarm system will go off. Great. That means the system works. But healthy people don't let the alarm go on for a long period of time because they come to reality very quickly. Thank you, brain. That was a train whistle. But remember, we're not in danger. And I'll talk about relief. We'll talk about exact steps, therapy steps. Good question. So if you really are in danger and you feel anxiety, good for you. And listen to that adrenaline and run. Go. Okay, this last little bit here, and we'll come back to this if we need to. You can read on your own, but repeated mental distress, going along with mental trauma, along with biological and environmental influences, and this is where specialists debate this issue. They debate that part. It can cause anxiety disorders, which are the most common in the USA. So constant mental distress, and you can have other factors. Some people are just prone to it biologically, environmental. That depends. We call that learned behavior sometimes. You have a mom or dad as a worrywart. They're always just stressed out all the time from childhood. You just learn, I'm supposed to approach life as a worrywart. Well, you can disabuse yourself of that. But the point is, there's different reasons, but anxiety disorders then develop. And they are so common. Anxiety disorders cause feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that are difficult to control, and they interfere with your life. That's usually the definition of disorder. It's very difficult to control, and it interferes with your life. And that's a controversial definition, but that's what it's been forever. But that's starting to change a little bit with the sexual agenda that's going on. It's been changed a good bit, but that's in general what it's considered. It's very difficult to control, and it interferes with the kind of healthy, adjusted life I want to have. What they all have in common is there is no real threat. There's no real threat. They're all based on irrational fears. For example, and I put the most common ones that I know of, generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, very common, characterized by non-specific, that's why it's called generalized, excessive worry about any number of just normal, quotidian, everyday issues, like I'm worried about money, I'm worried about my family, I'm worried about health, safety, travel, hygiene, my job, Jesus, the weather, just a generalized sense of, and you have for about 6 months. A lot of people suffer from that. And so I got some of these quotes from the ADA.org. It affects 6.8 million adults. That's 3% of the population. And women are almost double as much as men. And almost always occurs with other things. The odds are very high in this room right now. I know people who suffer from GAD. I know several people suffer, not several, but a few suffer from that. So the odds are people in this room probably, particularly if you're a female, you're more prone to it. It's a generalized sense of, what are you worried about? Did I turn the light on? Did I leave it off? Did I turn the iron on? Did I turn that off? Did I clean that well? I don't know. I'm probably failing him as mom. Did you, that's a generalized anxiety disorder. So it's generalized panic. Generalized, oftentimes you can ask yourself, or a therapist ask you, what is it exactly? Sometimes it's difficult to kind of, as it were, put their finger on it. A lot of times that's one of the signs that's generalized. A panic disorder is different. That's characterized by sudden, repeated, intense episodes